Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Larry Bodenheimer and today we're going to be taking a look at BDDQ. BDDQ is a 64-bit Trojan for Windows operating systems, and this one is quite new. How new, you may ask? Well, how does 25 minutes new sound? If you want to go by creation time, it's 13 years old, because that's always, true. And we can see that it was last submitted 3 minutes ago by yours truly. And if we take a look up here, we can see that it only has 10 detections. Now, when I say only 10 detections in this context, I just want to make it clear that I don't expect it to have more than 10 with it being so new. I'm just saying that this is virtually undetected. If we go to detection, we can actually see the major companies that have a signature for it. So Avast, AVG, BCAF Pro, ESET, Kaspersky, and Malwarebytes all have detections. So pretty good in the major AV companies. However, I am seeing that Bitdefender doesn't have a signature for it yet. I'm going to wait a few hours and see if they come up with one, even if it's AI. If they don't, I'll go ahead and send this in to them. But some other smaller companies that we have as well is Elastic, Horong, Rising. Oh, Microsoft is here as well. Yeah, I might want to point out Microsoft. But we do have some smaller companies as well. So, pretty good. Give them a round of applause. Your tags for this video are portable executable, long sleeps, invalid signature, signed, checks disk space, calls WMI, detects debug environment, 64 bits, persistence, overlay, checks user input, and malware. We'll take a look at details. Here's your MD5, your SHA-1, and your SHA-256 for the video. And if you're new to the channel and you want to follow along, these will be in the comment section. You won't have to type them in on your own. If we go to relations, we can see that there's 7 contacted URLs. In testing, there were 6, but it doesn't seem to have updated very much. If we take a look, the vast majority of these are all on the same network. 121, 127, 231. The only thing that's different is the ending 3 numbers. And we do also have one that's completely different over here that seems to call a text file. Now, you may have noticed already, but despite this malware only being 25 minutes old, one of these places is already down, and it was down during testing as well. So I'd like to go ahead and get this recorded before they all go down. If we take a look at domains, we do have 2 contacted domains. However, they're both Microsoft, so we could ignore that. And if we go to contacted IP addresses, we can immediately see that this malware isn't out of mainland China, it's actually out of the Hong Kong SDR. So do with that as you will. We do have one domain, or one IP address with 2 detections out of the US, 1 out of Hong Kong with 3 detections, 1 out of Singapore with 1 detection, and then we've got a Microsoft IP here that we can just ignore. 10 dropped files, we've got a 16.exe with 19 detections, a zillial.jpg, but it does show up as a DOS executable with 16 detections, and then 1 detection with let's vpn latest.exe. Again, I don't spend much time on behavior on this channel, but if you want to take a look for yourself and don't want to follow along, now's your chance to do so. And it seems we got an update. So when I last looked at this, we didn't have any detections on the, come on brain, the freaking, it's literally box right here, the sandboxes, and we didn't have any IDS rules either. Now that seems to have changed significantly. We do have 1 sandbox detection with malware, Trojan, and evader. We have 3 high, 8 medium, and 3 low crowdsourced Sigma rules. And we also have 3 high and 4 medium, or 4 low crowdsourced IDS rules. Last but not least, we'll go ahead and take a look at community, and we can see that Nike Analytics, Jaffa Cakes, and Joe Security have all been here. So earlier, there was no threat name here, so it looks like this has been updated. Joe Security is calling it Nitol and Zagost. Nike Analytics doesn't have a name for it. Pedic doesn't have a name for it. And Jaffa Cakes has the file name as this, but they don't have a family label for it either. We'll go ahead and lower this, and we'll take a look at the tools we'll be using for this video. We have System Informer, Process Monitor, which I'll go ahead and resume now, Wireshark, which I will also go ahead and resume now, and Zooey. Last but not least, let's take a look at the properties for this. If we open properties and go to details, we can see that there's no details. However, we also see digital signatures is here, and these both belong to Beijing Qihu Technologies Co. Limited. And if we click details on these, we can see it says the digital signature is not valid, and the digital signature of the object did not verify. And if we go over to the SHA-1 digest as well, it's going to show the exact same thing. That seems to be everything, so let's go ahead and open System Informer, and without any further ado, let's run some malware. Do you want to allow this app from the CCP to make changes to your device? Sure I do. We'll go ahead and click yes, and it immediately opens something in the taskbar that we didn't quite get to see, but we also see that there's 4 programs open right now. The program we ran, irsetup.exe, PowerShell, and console host. And eventually it will actually close this main program, and irsetup will run as its own parent process. And despite this program having closed, we can see that PowerShell and console host are still opening. It's now using 95% of the CPU, and it opened secedic.exe, and we have a new file here. So our CPU usage has gone down. Me personally, if my CPU usage jumped like that, and I see a folder open with something entirely different than what I meant to install, I'm going to be suspicious, but, people that are less computer literate may not. Also, one thing to note is that this is actually completely different. Not only is the name different, but the icon is different as well. Let's go ahead and pause process monitor so it doesn't die. But the first time I ran this in testing, it had a completely different name, and the icon was just a letter A. Now it seems to be a unique folder icon and a completely different name, which is running in the background and is using the CPU. And we can see irsetup is executing PowerShell and console host over and over and over again. It's probably running the exact same processes every single time. It could be different. We're going to take a look in process monitor and verify that, but if it's just doing the same thing, this is extremely inefficient. But I don't write malware, so I don't get to judge, unless it's just script kiddie nonsense. So we'll go ahead and open Wireshark, and as we can see, there are a lot of packets being sent. We've got some reset acknowledgements and port numbers we reused, and they're all coming from 143.92.60.116. If we take a look in relations, was that one of the IPs that we saw over here? No, it was not. And this is new to virus total, so new IP addresses are going to be added all the time. But if we take a look here, we don't have... Actually, yeah, it is. It's right here. I'm sorry. I lied. This is the one that's out of Singapore. Now, if we take a look in Wireshark, we'll see if there's any other IP addresses that immediately catch my eye. And we can see that we've got a 104.168.152.151 sending acknowledgements. This is the server out of the United States that has 2 detections. If we keep going, this is Google Cloud, so might not necessarily be able to ignore that, but we'll come back to it later. We've already got some other things to take a look at, which catch my eye a little more and are a little more important as of right now. And all of these TCP ports being reused and the reset acknowledgements all come from the same IP address out of Singapore. So what we'll do now is we'll go ahead and stop this. We'll immediately save it as 1, and we'll start a new one, just so that we can keep as many packets as possible. I'm going to go ahead and import data, and we're going to go and grab that 1.pcap and let it analyze in the background. But now we're going to go ahead and take a look at process monitor, and we've got quite a few things that we want to look at. So here's what I'm going to do. We can see that it's not really changed anything that it's doing, so its main setup and installation is probably already done, but I will actually keep this... I have to fight with this stupid thing every single time. Come here. I will keep this up in 2 different windows, so that if anything unique does open, we'll be able to see it for ourselves. And let's go ahead and apply 2 filters to process monitor. So the first filter we're going to do is operation is create file, and the process name is going to be not typing all that. Let's make sure it is the exact same one, because, okay, it looked a little different to me for some reason, but it is the same one. We'll go ahead and click add and apply. Shouldn't take too long. There's only 2.6 million events. And we can see that this has caused 257 events to appear. We'll expand the pathway to about here so we can see everything. And we'll scroll through. So immediately we're getting a bunch of DLLs being called. That's not surprising to me at all. That happens with almost everything. First thing I'm looking for. I am looking for anything that shows persistence. So if there's anything accessing the startup directory that we can see, or anything that looks like it may do it in another process, we'll want to take a note of it. But immediately it's accessing the Windows registration. And as we can see, it's accessing my user directory, every folder that's in it, and pasting a desktop.ini. Even going into saved games, wow. We've got a bunch of DLLs here. iNet cookies. We've got this irsetup.exe, which is what's running PowerShell and console host a million billion times, which we'll take a look at later. And we can see that this is in the temp directory under irsftemp0. So we'll go ahead and jump to that directory. And we can see there's 4 things in here. We've got a Lua DLL, and we've got 2 JPEGs. If we open these, they do seem to be just genuine JPEG files. And then we've got irsetup as well. If we open the properties for this, go to details, setup application, setup factory runtime, runtime engine copyright 2012, setup factory is a trademark of Indigo something. So that seems to be a realistic program, a legitimate one, maybe being used for illegitimate purposes. But we can also see that this is actually a different name from the original file name. So we will probably put that in VirusTotal here in a second, but I'm going to go ahead and keep looking through here and see if anything else immediately jumps out. It's calling the temp directory quite a lot, and it's just re-executing irsetup. That's fine. It seems to call the C directory a few times. We've got an mpr.dll, which I assume is custom for the malware. However, unfortunately, it has been deleted. If we go ahead and take a look, we're going to do a new filter, and the first filter, or the first name we're going to do, I want to take a look at this random string down here. So we're going to go ahead and type, oh, this is going to be annoying. Can I just find it in here, actually? Probably, right? Is it in alphabetical order? Yeah, here it is. So we'll add that as the process name and apply. Kind of get the feeling it's not doing much, but we'll look anyway. And actually, it seems to be doing a lot more than I originally thought. So we've got 810 events. I'll kind of skim through this, but maybe I should be paying a bit of attention too, because I wasn't expecting to see all that. As you can see, we've got a new folder in public documents, which is T7QCPJLB. If we jump to this, it says name not found, and it's not showing anything, so fair enough. But it also likes to lie to me sometimes. So we're going to go C, users, public, documents. The folder is still here, and the executable is still here as well. This is why I've been checking a lot more. However, it should be noted that all of those DLLs are gone. And if we go to view, we can see hidden items and file name extensions is turned on. So it's not hiding from us. If it is, it's doing a really good job of it. It's calling more DLLs, and we've got CDEL, TZFZ, 1.ini, 2.ini, INST.ini, a bunch of custom DLLs and INIs. Or actually, none of them are DLLs, they're all INIs, my bad. We've got a shwanku.log, and we've also got this ziliao.jpg, which, if you remember, had a bunch of detections and was showing up as a DOS file. And looking at this directly, this does not seem to be an actual JPEG. So we'll minimize that for now. We've also got iusb3mon.exe, however, it seems to have deleted the entire path to it. And yes, we can go to the program directory and see that it is actually gone. And we've also got UPX. Interesting. That is a packing software. Why are we packing the things on my computer? Truly interesting. And it's not showing these as dropped files. Of course, you know, this isn't the original file, so I will go ahead and upload this as well to VirusTotal once we get done with it. But this is all very interesting. We're calling Windows PowerShell, And we've barely made any progress scrolling through all this, so I'm going to skim through, and I'm only going to make a note of everything that looks interesting. Now here it says iusb3mon.exe was successful and wasn't deleted, but it is actually gone. We've also got template watch.dat. Interesting. iusb3mon.dat. Template watch.dat in the program directory. Command.exe in this folder that has been deleted. Or not been deleted, but everything inside of it has been deleted. And it's calling iusb3mon a lot. So the fact that it's, as a matter of fact, that's all it's actually doing now. So the fact that the file is actually deleted is surprising to me. But we're going to go ahead and shove this in VirusTotal. So let's duplicate this really quick. And we're going to go over here, open file location. Open file location. Hello? Okay, I guess we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. It's in public documents. Wait a minute. Do I already have that open? I did at some point, but I think I closed it. So we'll just go ahead. I'll leave that one open because I'm going to scan that too. We'll go to video tools because I don't know why I still have this open. And it's C users public documents. So C users public documents, the folder, and then this executable. We'll go ahead and upload this. It should show up as something that's not been scanned before, which does seem to be the case because it's generating a new name, new icon, and maybe even modifying its own code every time. But this does have quite a few, what's the word I'm looking for, detections, despite being just uploaded. This has more than the actual main program itself. 17 detections so far, and this shows up as baybar/BDDR, which is what we're looking at now. So could it be another copy of the same program? It is possible. It did close the main program. So very interesting indeed. We'll let this run for a second, and now I'm going to go ahead and create a new tab. So we'll duplicate this again, and now I want to shove IR setup in here before we take a look at it in process monitor, since we're already here. And we can see that this actually has no detections, which is extremely interesting. So suf_rt.exe, we can see 64 bits, idle, and assembly. I'm going to go ahead and reanalyze it because we've seen crazier things before with it when it was first uploaded, not having any detections, but then upon reanalysis, it has a bunch. But yeah, it does seem to be the case that this has no detections. So I'm definitely interested to see what it's doing in process monitor now. So we're going to scroll up to the top. We're going to, thank you. We're going to go to filter, and we're going to replace this with irsetup.exe. We'll add that. 3, 2, 1. And we have 1,415 events. And it didn't even put us at the very top. Okay. Okay, thank you. Gracias. And if we look in VirusTotal, we can see that this program actually has no detections. Interesting. Okay. Now, if we look through here, it's calling its own executable. Since this isn't deemed to be malicious, I won't spend too much time on it. But I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for anything that looks suspicious. So I'm ignoring a bunch of DLLs that we've already seen before. It looks like it did plop these images in here itself. That wasn't actually done by the main program. So whatever it's doing may have a legitimate purpose, but ooh, the start menu. So what I'm assuming is that this file on its own or paired with other programs is legitimate and has legitimate uses, but it's being used for malicious purposes by the malware. So if we keep looking, it's accessing these startup directories over and over to, yeah, it's dropped this JPEG. That's interesting because this JPEG has a bunch of detections. And it did also drop Let's VPN latest.exe. So this is what did that, not the main file. And it's in product 1. A proxy DLL? Okay. It's calling PowerShell. And here's where it starts to do the exact same thing. So it looks like it's running a script. And as we can tell, it's doing it just back and forth and back and forth. This is extremely inefficient, and that's what's causing the CPU usage to remain so high once it calls those programs. But before that, it's doing quite a bit of suspicious stuff. So here's what I want to do now. I want to go ahead and grab that JPEG, huge air quotes, and I want to shove that in VirusTotal as well. We're going to shove everything in here. So since this is deemed to not be malicious, we'll put the JPEG in here. It was last analyzed 3 days ago. So I'm assuming, because it has no actual image, that obviously this isn't a JPEG. It's probably more like an executable, or maybe a DLL or a batch file. If I do exe, and I go to properties, and details, it has no details. But now it's got BDDQ/SCOD. So it doesn't really make sense to call them all variants of the same exact malware. But it is definitely suspicious with everything that it's doing. Does it have any relations? Yes, it does. It has 21 execution parents, and they're all malicious. We got a whole bunch of names here. A lot of things related to 360, and from the names I'm seeing here, it's probably related to Kihu 360, which is a legitimate, what's the word I'm looking for, a legitimate AV program. But in this case, it's actually probably coming from a rogue AV or an AV pretending to be Kihu 360 or a Trojan. And it looks like a bunch of people have been here as well. Thor has been here. Oh, it's all Thor. But he's been here 5 times. So that's interesting as well. I believe there was one more thing that I wanted to take a look at before we went on to Zooey. Like there was another file or something. It's also calling the file maps directory, which is very interesting. But that may have been it. For some reason, I feel like there was one more thing that I wanted to take a look at. But maybe I forgot. If it doesn't come back to me by the end of the video, then it wasn't important. But now we're going to go ahead. Oh, wait, this is our setup. No, I guess that's it then. I guess that is it. Okay. Then next we're going to go ahead and take a look at Zooey. So let's minimize all this junk. We can see that it was finished analyzing. I'm also going to go to Wireshark and stop the packet capture. And yes, as you can see, we are still trying to reach out to that IP address, or we are successfully reaching out to it. We'll go ahead and save that as 2. Start one more. We probably will analyze that one in Zooey, but let's take a look at these first 2. So we have 316 total rows. In this case, I'm not expecting to see anything suspicious, but I could be wrong. So if we just skim through here, the vast majority of these alert 3s, I'm sure, is... Oh, whoa! Hey now! You're on All-Star. Get your game on. We open this ET policy portable executable or DLL Windows file download HTTP. And this is probably downloading those random numbers.exe that we saw earlier. However, I'm not seeing anything that was actually calling them. If we open this one, ET malware javascript /nemcod.m.gen downloading executable payload, a network Trojan was detected. Interesting. We take a look at alert 2. ET hunting suspicious dotted quad host MZ response, potentially bad traffic. And ET info packed executable download. ET info executable download from dotted quad host. And finally, requesting executable payload 2016-0201. A network Trojan was detected. If we keep going, I'm not seeing that it's calling anything else. So now we'll go ahead and we'll go to import the data from 2.pcap and see if there's anything else that's more suspicious in here. And while it's analyzing that, I'm going to give you guys my 2 cents as to what I think is going on. I think this is a new strain of malware because it's doing things that I've literally quite not ever seen before. Its behavior is totally weird. We're not seeing anything that's relevant to Luma or Agent Tesla or any of like the major malwares, and we're not seeing anything that's even similar to lesser known remote access Trojan and info stealers as well. I've quite literally not seen anything quite like this. And obviously, I've seen malware from China and even Hong Kong before, but the things that it's doing and the fact that 64-bit is extremely interesting. So if we see more relevant to this types of malware on the channel, I told you so. Should be done analyzing here any moment now. Matter of fact, yep, it's done now. So we'll go ahead and query the pool. We have 885 total rows, but there shouldn't be much that we're going to put our eyes on. And last time I said we're probably not going to see anything that's very suspicious, and I was horribly wrong. I'm going to say that again, so watch me be horribly wrong again. But we'll scroll through here. This is all suricata stuff, which can easily be ignored. There's nothing too suspicious with that. There's nothing actually suspicious at all with that. But yeah, we're not seeing anything malicious. We do have a notice here. Only observed 0 TCP acknowledgements and was expecting at least 1. Okay, that's fine. And that's going to be it. So it's already called all of the malicious stuff from those IP addresses that it was going to. And you know there is something else we can do. Let's go to relations. And this is for the wrong one. Let's go to relations with the main program. And I want to see what, if anything, these are going to tell us. So we're going to open this in full screen. I'm going to open abuse IPDB and whois. Verify if you're human. And we're going to copy this IP address. Oh, God, I don't want the whole thing, but you're going to make me take the whole thing, aren't you? All right, let's do it like this and just paste it here, and then I'm going to delete all of this junk. Cut, paste, check. And it was reported 96 times, and obviously it is out of Hong Kong. The domain name is worldmailhk.com, okay? But the last report was 4 months ago. The IP has triggered Cloudflare wireless access firewall, web application firewall. I couldn't think of the name. I was like, that doesn't sound right. VM1 bad user agents ignoring web crawling rules, draining bandwidth. Interesting. And a lot of these seem to be out of New Zealand. Oh, sorry, Australia. Same thing. Web page scraping from Germany and from Russia. We've got a user agent. Okay. Looks like it's grabbing user agents. This is what, Malaysia? It is. Okay. I think that's Serbia. It is. An unauthorized probe. So it's doing all sorts of things. Now, that being said, I don't think this is all coming from the same malware sample. It's not even an hour old as of right now, 27 minutes into the video. But if we take a look in here, and it looks like it's maintained by HK Sun. Not entirely sure what that means. Address Mega2IDC, sunhk at worldmailhk.com. So I don't know anything about WorldMail Hong Kong, but sounds like maybe they could offer cloud servers for mail hosting, but it also sounds like these are being used inappropriately. And again, don't go doxing people. I know I just posted some information about the server owner and everything, but one, it's public information, and two, I expect everybody that watches these videos to be mature. That's going to be about it. I guess I could take a look at the US server as well, the one that has 2 detections. We'll go ahead and do that really quick. This was not found in their database at all. It's hosted off of Hostwinds, and it's out of Seattle. We'll go ahead and take a look here and see if this tells us anything. It's out of Seattle. That's just a bunch of stuff. Comment, hostwinds.com. We could take a look at this website. Let's go ahead and do that. Hostwinds enterprise level solutions, personal level support. So I wonder why this IP has 2 detections, because it looks fine. It's detected by CRDF and SOC Radar, which are 2 big ones as well. It's also found as suspicious by ESET, Alpha Mountain, and URL Query. So, interesting. And yeah, it looks like every single communicating file and referring file is malicious. So that would explain why. Alright then. And I guess last but not least, now we don't have any domains to look at. But we do have this. I'll tell you what, let's try to connect to this directly and see if we can call and download that executable. Will you go away? Will you go away? What the heck are you doing? Let me click the new tab. And it does actually download it. Okay. That's bad on their part. Let's go ahead and analyze this really quick. We were done with this one, so we'll just drag it here. And it does have 18 detections, which just seems to be another instance of its own malware. You know, it may have actually been something like, let's go back to here. It could have been something like the random file. It's actually one of those like 39s.exes, but it was renamed and given an icon once it was installed and ran. That is a possibility, and you know, the more I think about it now, it's probably the case. So last but not least, we're going to restart the computer and see if this has persistence. So let's go ahead and restart this really quick. I did update the virtual machine, so it shouldn't do any forced updates or anything like that during the video. So all we have to do is wait for it to kick all of that stuff out, restart the virtual machine, see that it's been destroyed. Just kidding. And then we're going to take a look at System Informer and see if it does have persistence. In this case, I'm willing to believe that it does. We have been getting quite unlucky lately, with the vast majority of the malware we're reviewing recently being actual rats and not just simple info stealers. Now, if you're asking why is that bad, because it's more entertaining, it may be more entertaining, but that also means that there's more remote access Trojans out there. Which, when I started a couple months ago, the vast majority were just simple info stealers. But in this case, it may be something entirely more nefarious. I don't see anything yet. Obviously, I'm going to give it a little more time. But I'm not seeing anything that shows the file has persistence. We'll give it a second. I'd say I'd give it about 30 more seconds, and if we don't see anything, I'll end the video there. And if it does pop back up, then I'll put in a cut at the very end and say, hey, this did show back up. I'm really surprised that it doesn't, though. Let's go to my brain pooped itself. Let's go to virus total and just check that again really quick. Oh, you see the main file is still here. And it did say persistent, right? Yeah, it says persistence. But yet, I'm not seeing anything to back up that claim. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's erroring out when it tries to reopen on the computer and it just crashes? That is possible because attempted persistence is still persistence. But I'm not seeing anything. I didn't delete anything. So as of right now, we're going to go ahead and say that it is just an actual info stealer. It's not an info stealer that just, you know, scans your computer once, one and done, and then deletes itself, but it is an info stealer that doesn't seem to have any capable persistence. So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. So if you guys did enjoy the video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and leave a comment letting me know what you thought was interesting about this one, because there were quite a few things that were interesting to do with it. And let me know if there's anything I didn't do in this video you want to see in future ones, or if there's anything I did do that you feel like is either redundant or unnecessary. Other than that, my name is Larry Bodenheimer, you guys have been amazing, and I will see you in the next one.